this is pretty cool too, that we're doing this in front of a live audience. Like I feel like, now I know how Oprah feels. Right, so first of all, can you guys share y'all's background with the audience so that they know where, how did you guys first start out, first of all, you guys look really young. How are you, each one of you guys?
19.
19?
I'm 19 also.
20? Okay.
I'm old.
Yeah? Next year you get to buy all the alcohol for them. Or if you come down to...
We don't do that.
Yeah. Or if you come down to Louisiana, you can all buy alcohol. Anyway, okay, back to the cryptocurrency here, not the alcohol, okay? So, talk about how you guys first discovered Bitcoin, cryptocurrencies and stuff.
Yeah, so back in 2011 is when I first kind of discovered Bitcoin. I was on all these online forums about, computer security, software development, stuff like that. And a big part of these forums is that, payments were all done in Bitcoin because people like to be more secretive at that time. So I, saw some cool things I wanted to buy and purchased my first Bitcoin. And then the rest is history.
So, our audience are always curious, like, what age were you and how much was the first Bitcoin that you purchased back then?
Oh, God. 13. 13?
14.
13 or 14.
Okay.
Yep, which was like 7th grade or so. And the first Bitcoin was like $5.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, guys, quick lesson here, guys. If you have kids around your neighborhood that's in the 7th grade and they know how to buy Bitcoins, you need to really get to know those kids, okay? Right? Because someday they might be here, right? So just right? Okay, so you discovered Bitcoins when you were in the 7th grade,
Yep.
13 years old, you got your first Bitcoin. How much was it back then?
$5.
$5?
Yep.
Okay. And then how did the rest of you guys?
So Max has been doing a lot more trading, or did more trading like a year ago in Ether and stuff like that, and I got interested in the programming side of it, so I picked up Solidity. I haven't really done any trading or anything like that, but...
Okay, so share with the audience what Solidity is.
So Ethereum has a virtual machine on it. It's basically a computer that can run, but basically it's a big distributed computer that can run any code that you want it to, so arbitrary code, and Solidity is the programming language that they chose to create for that. So it's a pretty interesting language. You can do some cool stuff with it, and it's got some interesting properties that, the whole immutability part of it. You can have these contracts where people can, pay in Ether, and you can do all sorts of interesting stuff like store, our crowd sale for our ICO is for Gladius is all done on a smart contract. So whenever someone deposits Ether, it automatically gives them the tokens and does the bonuses and everything like that.
Okay, so speaking of Solidity, it's interesting that you guys bring that up, because back in 2014, when nobody was talking about trading cryptocurrencies or anything like that, we interviewed a really young kid that was also 19.
19 years old.
Yeah,
Right.
and little skinny, nerdy-looking kid, goes by the name Vitalik Buterin. Right. So back then he was talking about a project called Ethereum. Right, and that was the first time that we actually heard about Solidity and stuff like that, smart contracts. So it's interesting that you fast forward 4 years later. Back then nobody knew what it was, and now 4 years later we're talking to a bunch of other 19-year-olds, right? Talking about Solidity and Ethereum again. So when you guys looked at that, right, what prompted you guys to start a blockchain project? You guys are all in college and everything. Talk about where you guys are from, what college.
So we were all together, we all knew each other, and we decided that basically what happened was we saw all these projects. A lot of them were like, Filecoin, 9 months, 10 months ago. These ones that were basically utilizing unused resources. So, in that case it was storage, Golem was around too, so processing power. And they were the really successful ones that were interesting and cool projects that actually had an application, I think, were the ones that were using these resources.
But were you guys in college at that time, or were you guys?
We were all computer science students in college.
Okay, what college do you guys go to?
We were at University of Maryland.
Okay, so that's like, so for the people that are listening that's outside the U.S., that's like what,
near Washington, D.C.
Yeah.
Okay, cool deal. All right. Yeah, so we do have an international audience.
Yeah.
All right, so, and then, so you guys were just computer science students, studying computer science, becoming software engineers and stuff. What prompted, so you said that you got an interest in Filecoin.
Well, we were working on a different project together, Max and I. We were doing we were doing a project that basically allowed people to pick out fitness plans and meal plans that suited them. And so that used some cool machine learning stuff. And before we even published it, we were already getting malicious traffic. So we decided we'd buy Cloudflare. And
Okay, before you guys go any further, right?
Yeah,
You guys slow down here, bro.
Yeah, and so basically
Computer science students, traders out here. Right?
So basically Cloudflare
What's
protects you.
malicious traffic?
Yeah, so you're getting these denial of service attacks, or in our case, there's a lot of stuff that was just, people trying to exploit the site. So looking for, vulnerabilities that are common with, most websites that don't have a web application firewall. Something sitting in front of it, analyzing all the traffic before.
Okay. Remember how we said time out?
All right, so you guys built a site.
We built a website, yeah.
Fitness stuff, and even before you could launch it, you found that
There are people doing these they're just scanning, they're looking for, recently registered domains that had websites on them.
Trying to steal money from us.
trying to steal money from you, trying
or-
to bring down your site, trying to make it
They-
so that other people
Exactly.
couldn't access it.
Yeah.
So they're trying to hack your website.
Essentially, yeah.
Yeah.
And so, at that point, you purchase a service, something like Cloudflare or something similar, and what they do is they sit between your site and the rest of the internet, and they watch every bit of traffic before. So all the people that get there, they want access to your site. They watch all of that before it gets there.
Okay, so typically when you run into that situation and you're a business that gets attacked, you will look for a product like Cloudflare to help
Yeah.
with that kind of attack.
Yeah,
What
so
do they do?
And so they sit between you and the open internet.
So like Cloudflare is like a shield
Yeah,
for your
essentially,
website.
Yeah.
Right.
And so they have.
But okay, so real quick, right? Like from our audience perspective, they're gonna want to know like why would somebody just randomly attack your website for you? It's a fitness website. You just open it
There are
up.
just a lot of mean people in the world.
Yeah. Like, do they get a financial incentive for doing that, or are they just doing it for fun?
So a lot of people, the smaller attacks, the ones that don't really do much damage, if you have, reasonable server infrastructure set up, those are normally just people doing it for fun, because they can. If it's one of the bigger ones, it's probably because they want to hold you for ransom or something like that, pay us a couple Bitcoin and we'll stop. Or if it's like really big, it's probably some government.
Okay.
Or it's like a lot of people, have some interest, like, EA or a few other people when they do, like video game companies, people get upset at them. They'll DDoS their servers and basically make their product inaccessible.
Okay.
So it could be for, ethical reasons. They might not like them for that reason. They might just not like them for their business decisions, or they just want to cause chaos.
Yeah.
But usually the financial incentive is, they'll hold someone for ransom, but that's the only real financial incentive. Or maybe they're a competitor and they want to, ruin someone's brand. But I don't think that probably doesn't happen as much.
Okay, so let's say, for example, like I'm sure there's people in this audience here that they own businesses, they own websites. Obviously we own websites ourselves, and when we get attacked from these hackers and these bad people trying to slow down our website or ruin our website, right? We don't run out there and try to build a solution to it. What made you guys pursue that?
Well, mostly because the pricing on Cloudflare and things like that. So if you're a business and you go for their business plan, it starts at $200 a month. And then if you want to buy their enterprise plan, which basically gives you one or two more features, not really worth it, and maybe a phone line that you can call. That starts at $5,000 a month.
So basically, you have this fitness website. You're getting attacked by these.
And we're college students. We don't have. We're at that point.
$200 a month,
Yeah,
that's
it's like
crazy.
that's a lot of money.
Yeah.
That's like a lot of food right there.
In college, just a lot of beers. Okay, that's the most important thing. Okay, so you guys were annoyed by this, and you didn't want to be paying $200 a month or $5,000 a month.
Yeah, it's a lot of money.
And since you guys,
they do a free and versions like that, but they're not free, and they miss out on a lot of features that you actually want. So they upcharge you very effectively to the ones you want to purchase.
and since you guys are all roommates and you guys are all computer science students, you guys are like, hey, why don't we just come up with a solution ourselves?
Yeah.
Okay, so what prompted you guys to look at a blockchain-based solution? Like, when I do like Akamai or Cloudflare, the main companies are handling that kind of stuff right now. What made you guys decide to go and use the blockchain technology?
You got this one?
Yeah.
Great.
So, I mean, one of the big things of the blockchain is, decentralization. We saw all of these companies. We say, hey, what do they have in common and why are they so expensive? We say, they're centralized. That's their vulnerability. That's their downfall. And, at this time, so last April, that was when the blockchain really started to, emerge as a technology that was accessible to, everyone. And it's more accessible to software
Actually, more
developers,
headlines.
but yeah, it was making more headlines. So we had the blockchain, and we had decentralization, and then we saw that, all these solutions were centralized. We said, well, that is the solution.
Yeah.
We can make a decentralized, network, and we think that will be the game changer in the industry. So that's why we really started
Yeah,
doing
and
it.
mainly there's just not a lot of competition either. So there's a couple big players, and they control a lot of the traffic on the internet, and they control a lot of the resource, a lot of the services on the internet that way. And
Okay.
they can, they have the ability at that point, they can charge essentially what they want.
So did you guys like, get your brains together one night and say, hey man, let's build a solution for this? And did you guys like drum up a software project or
So,
solution or
yeah,
app, or what did you guys do to test to see if this idea would actually work?
So we started writing the paper.
Researching.
Yeah, we started doing a lot of
Researching.
research into how all these other solutions work. And so they already kind of rely on decentralization. So they want to spread the load, that's their goal. But they don't really do it effectively because you can only purchase so much infrastructure if you're a company. You can only purchase so many data centers in the world. Whereas
So by their very nature,
Yeah, exactly,
by
yeah.
buying a data center, it's already
it's already centralized.
Located in
You've got,
one
you've got
spot,
one
right?
spot, and you can only buy so many of those around the world before it becomes ridiculous.
Okay, so explain to the audience here, just so that they understand, right? Since they're not computer science folks like you guys are. So when you talk about these data centers, right? So basically, let's just use an example of like Amazon,
Yeah, I get
right?
it. Yeah.
So because everybody is familiar with Amazon. So let's just say that I want my website to load faster and be protected, right? Instead of, I can host that on one of the Amazon servers, correct? And that Amazon server is located, let's say, on each continent. They have a bunch of server farms
Yeah.
with all these massive rooms full of computers and everything. And there's a copy of my website on one of these server farms. And so when let's say that I live in Dallas, and when somebody from New York wants to visit my site, then what Amazon will do is they'll go to the nearest server farm that's near New York and grab a copy of my website and then send it,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
Or they're in Los Angeles, they'll go. So how are you guys doing it?
Yeah. So the same sort of way, except because rather than going to these data centers, which are there might be 10 of them in the country. What you now have is you have more. If you refer to them as nodes, the places you access content, we can have thousands of them in a country. So you can have a lot of dispersion over the entire area.
Yes.
And so you can get to one that might be geographically closer, but more importantly, topographically closer. So you'll have to go through fewer hoops to get there.
Okay.
So the internet is a data basically represented as a graph, which means you've got a lot of bits to go through to get from one place to another. And if you can minimize the amount of those that you have to hop through, your latency goes down.
So latency means that my website would load up faster for the users.
Yeah, and so one thing that we allow people to do is you can get a node, one of these content providers, in every internet service provider. You can get them in more data centers. You can get them in more businesses. You can even get them in residential addresses, which basically means that you could be accessing the website from someone that's a mile away from you. They could be in your neighborhood. You might not even have to leave your ISP. And so your traffic doesn't have to go far to get the basically you don't have to go far to get the content.
So the Gladius technology, what you guys are doing is you're allowing users to be able to access the website can load faster because instead of going a further distance to grab a copy of that website, now it can just go locally in the surrounding area.
Yep.
From the people,
much more distributed.
yeah, and it's coming from, instead of having a huge server farm, what you're saying is that the Gladius technology allows people who are not using their computer or their internet to rent it out to the network.
And a consequence of that is also that it's really effective at mitigating denial of service attacks. So these floods of traffic rely on the fact that if they get all of their traffic into the little pipe that goes to your server, no one else can get there. Because there's just no room. Like if you think of it literally like a pipe, if you fill it up with all the malicious traffic, people trying to basically prevent access to your website, very few other people can get in. And by creating all this surface area, so all these places that they have to go through first, you basically create a big funnel, and you can filter it out before it ever gets to that little pipe that gets to your end server very effectively. And so the more surface area you have, the more places to go,
So
the
this is-
harder it is to disable a website.
So basically, what the Gladius technology does is it safe to say that we can look at like lanes of a highway, like an interstate highway? Y'all's technology allows more lanes in the highway so that more traffic can come through?
Yeah, think of it more like a merge lane almost. There's a lot of, at some point, all of it has to converge into like a little one lane.
Yeah,
And if there's a lot of, I guess, malicious cars, I don't
Yeah.
know what the analogy there is, but if you have if you can stop them before they get there, your
Mhm.
traffic there'll be, it'll be much faster to move through the one lane at the end if all those cars are not there. By
Okay.
the time you get there.
okay. Did you have something to add to that, Marcelo?
No, I thought your analogy was great.
Yeah.
Just the lane of the highway, allowing, just making more paths for people to go through makes it faster and reduces, traffic, as you would say, as the volume of
We've
cars.
got a whiteboard back there if you want.